fun names for our Seahawks show, our Mariner. Well, our Seahawks show came from Jake. Uh, the Mariners show is just when the show comes out.
Hmm.
Storm is Storm Round Table, so it's not that fun. I liked Right as Rain because I thought
That's a
I
great
could
one.
just
Yeah, that's
change the
clever.
name. We're doing our UW women's basketball show, which is new. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to name it. I can't come up with a funny name. And Bella on the show goes, Women's Washington Women's Basketball Babes and Charles. And I was like, yep,
When you say
that's
something is for the
me.
girls and the gays, can you include me? The girls and the gays and Charles.
I think someone made that meme actually, but they made it and it showed up on my For You Twitter page and they didn't tag me. They just typed out
Wow.
Charles. And I was like,
Perfect.
I guess I saw it eventually. Welcome back to Mariner Mondays on Circling Seattle Sports. That's your cold open. Um, we haven't even really started the show, and we've already hit levels of delirium, folks. I'm Charles Hamaker. I'm joined by Jake Parr and Brittany Wisner. We are back. Spring training is closer than ever.
Woo!
Catchers report what in less than a week. So we're
Wednesday.
cooking. We're
Wednesday.
cooking. In 2 days, we're cooking. Um, speaking of cooking and maybe not cooking and staying out of the kitchen, Jerry Dipoto has some very interesting comments,
Well,
which he always does.
very is a strong word.
Is Jerry met with some local media uh to the main focus when I got the press email was that we were going to talk about the Jorge Polanco signing. And since it's really the only availability that we got this offseason, and obviously turned into basically talking about the offseason. The only thing I think that went left unanswered in my mind, and I texted Brittany about this, was wanting to hear about how in the beginning of the offseason it was they were going to have this pitch for Roki Sasaki, and that was it. And they never got a meeting, and we never heard about it ever again. It went quietly into the night, much like the Kansas City Chiefs did in their ugly Super Bowl loss on Sunday. Um, so that didn't get answered, but a lot of other things were talked about, much like how we thought they would, including how the discussion after this, you know, abysmal offseason would be we believe in the team that we have. And that slam noise is what my head did on the table when I heard that because it was just remarkable. We have talked about this
Yeah.
a few times on this show
Yeah.
already. Right, because it's just been, we think everybody in this fan base, and in the media as well as we are, went into the offseason thinking this is going to be rough just
Yeah.
because of the monetary value that was going to be given. Um, and it turned out that way. His direct quote verbatim was, "We have a good team." And I think you've got 2/3 of a good team, maybe. You've got a good pitching staff generally,
Yeah.
a good outfield and a catcher, and then there's your infield, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my opinion on it.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, yeah. I
like
mean, they
I
do have a good team, but they've had a good team since 21. Now is the time to have a great team,
yes, the
and they're
problem is
not
good
willing to do
team.
that. Yeah.
Nope.
Um, I want to kind of generally go over some of the comments because before I just kind of let you guys both loose on this, because I don't know, there was kind of a lot said but not. Like it was kind of nice that um like Luis Castillo is one of the first things, you think about with this offseason and how he was, excuse me, basically dangled from a string like a carrot, and they were like, all right, we need bats. Please, we have Luis. Jerry did say that they talked to Castillo after the um rumors started to come out about him and being involved, right? So, that's important. I'm glad that they had that. It's not like the MNBA where Luka Doncic was traded like that and they didn't really talk to him. Um he's Capoto said that we feel like we're right in the mix of the AL West. which we'll see. Um, he mentioned in talking, there was some positive in Jerry talking, which isn't always a thing. He said that, they expect fully healthy returns from a Gregory Santos and a Matt Brash. Brash, they said they could say, I think April is when they kind of mentioned, which I think is earlier than his normal start time. He did get that
It is.
procedure though, where he got what more players with Tommy John are
Mhm.
getting, where they get, which speeds up the recovery, which it seems to be doing. Gregory Santos kind of had a litany of injuries last year, right? Where I think it got to a point where he didn't know what was wrong. And when I tweeted that after a scrum, I was like, this is bad. Like, so, the update seems to be that, things are going well with him. Matt Brash, talking about him, has a great rehab. He's already in Arizona. Oh, yes, Sell expects him to be back by the third week of April. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. Um, Talking about Jorge Polanco, who we've predicted would be back, but not in third base. Um, he said that the team kept in contact with Jorge all offseason, dating back to when they declined his option. And then they moved to a deal pretty recently to when he actually signed. The presser was on the 3rd of February. They moved to a deal over the last 10 days when they said that the one real negative in terms of an injury, it seems like they're largely healthy, was that Troy Taylor. Troy Taylor will miss the start of spring training due to a lat strain that he suffered in workouts this offseason. He's more to be determined per Dipoto, and they expect him to spend some time down in Arizona when they begin the season. So there was that. Dipoto also said that they had inquiries on all 5 starting pitchers and a few prospects, but ultimately they didn't feel comfortable in any of the deals talked about. So there's more than that. There's a lot more than that, but I know both of you have seen bits and pieces of this, or maybe the full thing to an extent. Brittany, we'll start with you because I know you have thoughts, and Jake obviously does. So Jake, you can pick up after Brittany, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess my thing is just don't say the stupid thing, man. And I know that's a tall order, but don't say the thing that no one's gonna buy. I mean, he knows that, like, oh, did I freeze? Uh-oh.
no,
Oh, okay, good. My screen just went black. He knows that this fan base is not buying what he's selling.
yeah.
He knows that. They all know that. It's obvious. And so kind of the audacity to say we felt like we didn't have a lot of holes to fill or any holes to fill is absolutely egregious. I understand that he is walking a line and it's not an easy line to walk, but just don't say the absolutely egregious thing that no one is going to buy. And you don't even believe it yourself, right? Like he doesn't believe that deep down. And we have quotes from Justin Hollander before that basically saying, yeah, we got work to do. We have infield holes to fill, I think was one of the direct quotes. So they don't even believe it themselves. Just don't say the thing. All it does is add fuel to the fire. Uh, if you can't find a way to say something diplomatic about the dumpster fire of this off season, then don't say anything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're cooking. I mean, it's the holes to fill thing is really funny because like it's clear, at least it's becoming clear that they don't, or at least to Poto, not speaking for Hollander, because I would have liked like a Hollander conference because
Yeah.
he's I feel like a little bit more actually insightful than Dipoto is a lot of the time, but they keep him under lock and key. Yes, Charles, I'm calling on you.
Quickly, I'll say during the season when we the first game of every homestand, we do hear Hollander speak. He gives injury updates, and I
Hmm.
always, yeah, I think everybody in the fan base and the media would agree. It's like he's a better talker and he's more insightful. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
point that out. That yeah, we get more with him than we do with Jerry. So
Hmm. Yeah, and the holes to fill thing, because it's like They physically have the players, that's true. There are people that can play those positions. There's not literally a hole there. But they're not, like, good, Jerry. We want good players there. We don't want Jorge Polanco trying to throw across the infield. I mean, I love Perry Hill. He's got his work cut out for him. Uh, we feel great about our farm system, sure, but they're not going to win you the World Series right now while the window's open. We feel great about the stability of our team. That's because you haven't made a move. We feel like our offense doesn't get enough credit. They used up their credit, man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
mm.
You're 100% correct. They used up their credit.
I don't know. You don't get to be the most one of the most strikeout prone teams in the game, and then say, but our offense really does a lot of good work.
Yeah.
It's like, can they hit the ball, please? Can they just touch it?
Yeah, I think it is just disappointing because so much of the worry going into the offseason was that they were going to look at the last part of the year where Dan and Edgar took over, right? And they were going to use that as their base point, be like, hey, you didn't see a full year of this. And I'm like, is a full year that sustainable?
I don't want to see a full year of that, thank you.
Yeah. And like that was my worry with the Kraken in 2022-23. They were unsustainable. Like they had career years from just about everybody. It's not going to happen every year. Like
Yeah.
so like as it's mentioned, he didn't share the same negative outlook as everybody in the world did. And like Brittany said, I think that he is walking a fine line, but also he does like he's not hitting the layups per se. He's missing the
No.
layup and throwing the ball into the court and hitting grandma.
Yeah. There are other things you can say, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many other things you can say. And to just say the thing that no one is gonna buy is insane. It's insane. God bless his heart.
Yeah, I think people are generally tired of Jerry speak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Again, that's why I think with Hollander it would be So like, and it's tough too when there used to be a pre-spring training luncheon or a news conference. They didn't have that. Now we've got impromptu Zoom sessions, or at the end of the season, an impromptu dugout meeting with Jerry. And that's what he referenced. He talked about how, the plan Z was trading from the rotation. Ended up being true, fortunately. Or fortunately, again, that's your horse right there. That's what wins you games is your rotation. Mm-hmm. He talked about then, they talked about how well they played at the end of the season, and how, like you guys mentioned about how the core was largely in place and they didn't feel like they needed to do a lot. And I'm like, well, like we had someone in our comments who, again, I shouldn't feed the troll in that regard, who basically kind of echoes like, oh, they don't need to do a lot. You're going to get a lot from your top of the lineup. And then Cole Young can come in. I'm like, Cole Young's not coming in, first of all. Second of all, as mentioned at the top of this discussion, you need to be great, not good. The Astros have consistently done that where they said, last year might have been good, we need to be great. And they've updated their roster, or at least tried. They at least tried with Jose Abreu, right? It didn't end up working well, and now he's a husk of a man.
That was a great move on paper, though, especially with their Crawford boxes.
Mm-hmm. I was concerned. I was like, great, we're hooked. Wallahi. But, like, seeing the talk about the positive trends over 6 weeks of a season, it's not great. Like, in talking about it,
small
especially
sample size.
Yes, small sample size, and considering the conditions of the weather, your baseball does travel farther when warm.
Well, the conditions of the weather and the opponents that they
opponents.
We're talking the Rays, who were not great at the end there. They traded their pieces away. The Giants, the A's.
Like three White Sox series right there. Yeah. It brings me back to the 23 preseason hype video where they're like, we're gonna win the whole damn thing. We're gonna win, had that circled on the whiteboard and everything. Hilarious in hindsight, but
I blocked that from my memory.
But you're not going to see the team have that energy this year. No, Charles, please, I beg.
And the whole damn thing, Jake.
Like that was funny in hindsight, but it was exciting in the moment, right? Because it felt like they could, like they had that chance. Matt Brash came out and killed Jose Ramirez in that first game. Who was the Guardians pitcher that had the total meltdown at Timo?
Aaron Shack.
Yeah,
our guy.
See, that was fun, right?
That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the team having that energy again this year. And even though they missed in 23, similar to how they missed in 24, it felt like from top to bottom the organization was trying. And it really is starting to feel like, at the very least in the front office management ownership side of things, that they're happy being an 88-win team, 85-win team that is kind of in the mix-ish, and is just barely good enough to keep fans coming to games in September and keep, 35,000, 40,000 fans in the stadium in September. And that probably is where the greatest profit is, because then you don't have to shell out for, another $20 million for a great player. And you only see a portion of that back even if you make it into the playoffs. Like from an incentives perspective, the team is probably where they want to be. But now we're getting into discussion of like, how do you make baseball good, like as a business? Here we go. There we go. Do be better.
They have not.
Yeah,
I'm gonna overhaul your I'm gonna overhaul your rant here, because yes, you saw in 22 when you brought in Eugenio Suarez was one of your best offensive players.
Oh man,
he was a cap dump. You don't see cap dumps anymore. You are the cap dumper, not big dumper either. Like that trade was for Jesse Winker, who was at that point considered the number 7 best left fielder in baseball, right? We remember that. It was on MLB Network. Like
number
wild
1,
to think
right?
about. Was he number 1? Oh, God.
He was number 1.
That makes it even worse. Like like anybody in this city will tell you that when the Mariners are even somewhat good, there's a Mariners hat on everybody. Like there's a general buzz. You leave the stadium after. I leave after, all of the media stuff, and I'm done writing my story for the night. I leave and I'm walking through Occidental, and there are people still having drinks and falling on me on their road bikes. Like,
at like midnight on a Wednesday after a day game, even.
Yep, after they took a dump on the Rangers somehow.
Yeah.
Like, the revenue is there. And a greater revenue is there. There's the whole thing about, to make money, you have to spend money.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do that.
They don't.
I don't get it. Like, yeah, sorry to overhaul your thing.
No, they're just happy to take advantage of our love for the team.
And so, like, as much like controversy as somehow I cause, because
no, keep causing controversy. It boosts engagement.
Well, yes. More comment, please. Tell me your half-assed thought about an off-season where yes, you bring in Cole Young. It does bring engagement. Like I'm not saying Jerry Dipoto is the best president of baseball operations in the world. I'm not saying that. Like there are moves I don't understand. But I am saying that he is hampered by the money that they have. So like, I think part of it is a problem. Like I don't know what else he could have cooked over the last few years if he had more of a leash on him and could go into the store. It could go into like a Target as opposed to a dollar store to build his house. Like,
Yeah.
So,
Target.
Yes, my parents used to call it Target. I am not that old. But it's that's just kind of the general vibe of this. I mean, talked about the offense, stuff like that. He said we're still open if the opportunity to add exists out there.
I'm dying. My computer's dying.
What?
My computer's about to restart.
Oh, okay. I thought that was an analogy, and I was like, "What does this mean?" Yeah, I don't know. They talked about the physically, they're happy about Jorge Polanco.
Now feels like a good time to do this.
Now we're back. Yeah. continuing with the comments so we can finally get over that topic. Yeah, Jerry said physically, Polanco looks great. We had a chance to watch his workouts on video. You're not special, buddy. I do that too. Um, and yeah, they had him in to do that live. Like I mentioned, they stayed in contact with him without the off season. Oh, their medical team did help schedule the surgery. Yeah, so they were basically with him the whole time. He looks more explosive, so that's fun. Yeah,
He's
Mm.
going to physically explode on the
no,
field.
as I think all three of us have talked about at different points. Like we're all putting a lot of our belief in Saint Harold Hill here to work
Yeah.
magic. Um, so yeah, that's great. It was
You
also
know
interesting to
what?
hear him. Hmm?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, this is my last one. Hear
Oh,
him talk about the division. He said, I think the A's got better. There's no question they got better. The Angels, very early in the offseason, made a flurry of moves, which they did. They got some new faces. Okay, so he just hit the obvious with the Angels. He of course, former Angel would compliment the Angels. Um, Houston's gonna look different. Rangers reconstructed their bullpen, but we feel like we're right in the mix. The early projection systems feel like we are right in the mix. Okay, Gerald. Yeah.
I
So
missed that
that's
one. That's rough. You know what's going to be interesting is if this year, what started to make the rounds is opening day availability and tickets still being available. And what's
yes.
going to be interesting to me is if we really see a different outcome in terms of fan attendance this year, because the worst thing that kills any team isn't anger or frustration, it's indifference. And we've seen a lot of indifference this offseason from the Mariner fan base.
Mhm.
A lot of fans kind of just saying, nope, I'm done. I don't care anymore. They pulled me in and I gave them a try and they didn't do what was promised. And I'm done being gaslit and they don't care anymore. I've personally on social media seen a lot more indifference than I have the last two off seasons. The last two off seasons, I'd say, were a lot of frustration and a lot of bargaining and okay, well, how this is gonna work? How's this gonna work? Let's try and like make it make sense in our heads. And more than any other off season, I've just seen a lot of nah, I'm done. So indifference can kill you. It'll kill a fan base, and I'll be interested to see if we see that reflected at all.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I did see that brought up, and someone was putting it under Divish's tweets. They're like, look. I'm like, I'm sure he knows. Like, again, if there's a guy who's gonna know, it's Divish. Um, just my concern is, when that sort of idea of fans not showing up kind of hit a fever pitch last season. Like what I was told that was like there's a worst case scenario where fans don't show up and the Mariners respond by spending less money. Like
Totally. Yeah.
unfortunately, that's possible. So I don't know. I don't know. Like I've warned fans before. I'm like, it's not a one outcome scenario where they go out to an embarrassment of a crowd on opening day and ownership says, okay, here's $50 million,
Not gonna
go get
happen.
someone. It's
That's
just
not
that's
gonna
just
happen.
like there's like that's my problem, and I think that's what caused like some like because I don't blindly accept fans' thoughts on stuff like that is why I caused some controversy. Because again, I the reality is it's not as simple as that, right? It's not as simple as what some of the fans want it to be, where it's like we don't show up, they spend money. No, I don't think it's like that, unfortunately. Like so yeah, I don't know. I'll like I think Brittany and I talked about whether it was last week or yeah, I think it was last week. It's like baseball folks will get excited for spring training no matter what, right?
Yeah.
We'll get excited for opening day. because it's opening day. Doesn't mean there's the equal excitement for the product on the field or the future of the current franchise that we have stake in or involvement in. So,
Yep.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, how about those M's?
Oh, I'm excited.
I know. Where are you going to watch all those away games, though?
Away games. Huh. I was thinking of coming here since, after all, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle sports.
I love that idea. Hope to see y'all here.